Refresh my memory. What page are we on?
Yes, exactly.
No, go per the agenda, please.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Where's the agenda? Okay, let's put it.
Oh,
I have it now.
You just have a couple more things before you do the design guidelines.
Okay, roll call. So Grace here.
It's here.
Mary Lou
I'm here.
and myself, Philip. So approval of the last minutes. We have reviewed them, so and they were
Yes.
distributed and shown. So who of you guys wants to?
I'll make a motion to
Motion.
approve the minutes of the last meeting. And we got a second.
Yeah,
Yes, I'll
Grace.
second it.
Was that a second?
Grace, we don't hear you. It's a bit.
Yes, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
second
okay.
that.
Okay, it's approved. Wait. Okay, so who approves? I do. And I think Mary,
I
yeah. Grace.
Aye.
Okay, approved by 3-0. Call to the audience. Seems there's no audience here.
And we didn't receive any comments.
Okay, so we'll jump over this one. Separation letter discussion. Very good. Thank you for putting that on the agenda.
Paolo, at the last meeting that you weren't at, we pulled up the comments that you had made.
Right.
And Paolo was going to put together a draft letter, but I asked him about it when he told me he wouldn't make today, and he didn't put the letter together.
Okay.
So he asked that, I asked that maybe there's another volunteer who could put the letter together based on your bullet points that you had provided.
I have a question. Before we do that, I mean, was there any comments to the bullets?
They liked him. They
Okay.
thought it was all good.
I haven't seen the whole thing, so
No, just the comments that that Philip provided at the last meeting that
okay.
Paolo
That
showed.
there's something, there isn't anything more than just that, right?
Yeah, there's nothing more than that.
Okay, all right.
But if you were writing, Mary Lou, you feel free to add.
If I were writing, you probably would have a very hot letter.
Okay. Maybe you should write. I don't know. Well, I think it's always good if other people chime in, or edit at least the bullet points, and then we can put together the letter. But
Yeah, I can do that.
it's
I'm just trying to
tempered,
see if
obviously,
we-
Mary Lou, and I think it should come from us, I mean, if you have anything you would like to add, can I distribute the bullet points officially, Jody?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Can I distribute the bullet points officially? I thought you had done that, or I had hoped that you would do that.
She did.
She did.
She
Okay,
did.
so everybody has it. Oh. Grace, what did you say?
I can take on the task of formatting that
Okay.
into a letter.
Cool. That will be nice English. So Mary Lou, I think time is now, or I think you can. How do we have to do this, Jody?
So you will, so Mary Lou asked about it before we got on the official record and you were here, but we're still in a holding pattern with mayor and council. We haven't gotten a date. We're now looking at November because October is done with mayor and council. They only meet on certain days and then you have to have everything in several weeks in advance, blah, 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 blah. So we're looking at November, so you still have time. There, I anticipate that you will have a meeting on Monday, the 10th, which is your regular scheduled meeting.
Mhm.
So I can put it on the agenda then, just like now, and you guys can discuss it. If Grace thinks that she can format the letter in that amount of time, or if she needs longer.
No, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I can put it on there.
And is there a chance, I probably won't make this meeting, because I have a flight scheduled there. So can this be distributed before and we'll just comment, or what, Grace, how do you prefer this? So that we can get it out, obviously. No?
Yeah. Jody, if I send it out individually, is that allowable, or I send it to you and you can distribute?
However, I think individually is what they call a daisy chain. But you can send it to me and I will just forward it out for you.
Sounds good.
Okay,
And then if you wanna provide like email comments, since you think you're not gonna be here, Philippe, then we can have those at the meeting.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. So Grace, anything you send out by Sunday night, I would make an effort to comment.
You got it.
Cool. Well then, but Jody, are you gonna see it when it comes in? So
I typically don't look at my work computer on Sundays.
okay, that's
I
helpful.
try not to, at least.
Yeah.
So my preference would be Friday if possible.
Well, no, yeah. Okay.
I will do my best to have it to you by Thursday night, Friday morning, if that works, so you have time to distribute it.
And then just so you know, I won't actually be at the Monday's meeting. Michael should be there. But I'll update him.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, thank you.
yes, thank you, Grace.
So anything else to this point? I'm not gonna get your fire, Mary Lou, or are you gonna? Come on, you.
I've set the board for way too long and seen way too much. That's
Don't
part of
say
the
that.
problem. Oh, yeah,
But you're still here.
yes.
Okay.
Foolishly,
Well. All recorded, Mary Lou.
you bet.
Okay, good. Understood. So let's transition to the agenda. Next agenda item, which is number 5, and that's the review of the new guidelines. So somebody had pulled them up the last time I was on this call. I think that was an efficient way of working. Who was that?
That was me. Let me
Okay.
grab it. Okay, you guys seeing that?
Yes,
Cool. So I had a note here that where we left off. Was this in green?
foundations.
Do you have, and I think we had this conversation last time, when you're talking about stone foundations, do you want to include something about the appropriate stone foundations? Because you don't want, the funky stone that you see on the new buildings where it's this thin, linear.
Looks like a veneer.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. It's thin, and it kind of looks like bricks, but it's a little bit offset, and they're different sizes, but they totally look new. They don't look old.
And they look fake often.
Or they look like something out of a barbecue pit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know if you want to add a sentence that about the stone that should be compatible or consistent with the development zone or the neighborhood or the district or whatever.
Stone type, you mean? Mhm.
Yeah.
Stone type and detailing, yeah. Yeah, that would be good. I have a question here. When we're not differentiating between a structural stone foundation and a veneer stone foundation here. And that's another question. Would we even accept stone veneer? And I know there's houses that have done that and have requested that in the past. Not during my time, I think, but I've seen it. It must have been approved because I've seen it being done, stone veneers. But a trained eye like ours sees it, that it's not real. And I always found that extremely disturbing, because it looks like we told somebody do stone, and then they did the stone, even if construction behind, let's say, is concrete block. And I'm torn on that, because there's veneers that are really good if they are done in a certain way, but that gets really complex. So maybe we say that when it's done as a veneer, it has to be done to match the authentic look. And that can we put something in there, Jody, that we review a sample of it, or is that ever done?
That can be done. I wouldn't put it in the design guidelines. I would say that would be something that you need to say during your review, that you want to see a sample of the veneer that they're going to be using. And I agree, there's good veneers and there's some crappy veneers. And I mean, if the concern is the veneers, I mean, you can always just say new construction veneers is not appropriate, and they should just keep with like a concrete stem wall or like a stuccoed one.
No,
Just
I think
keep it
there's
really
good
simple.
veneers when they are done with a certain thickness and well done, and that can look pretty cool, and I think it would have a good authentic feel if it's done well. The problem is when it looks thin and glued on.
But the thing is, when you're saying it should have, I mean, you probably want to think about how you want to word it, because if you say it should have an authentic feel, that's like kind of wide open.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, I'm aware. That's why I'm putting it out here.
Why you say authentic, that looks authentic. There's other people who are going to think something else looks authentic.
Yeah, our thresholds are different.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be radical and say it's not permitted, but I mean, I've been involved in projects, but I see it also in historic neighborhoods, let's say in Europe and here, where it's done as a veneer, but it's done really well. So
you could have something like, so Armory Park in some of their places, they're saying they're mostly okay with it, but they basically put to be reviewed and approved on a case-by-case basis.
And that's a great
that's
idea.
what I meant. Yeah, exactly. Or even on a case-by-case mention, and the board reserves the right to review it during construction, or mock up prior to construction or so.
I would think that that would be something that should be part of your motion, rather than here. And I would say probably just go with case by case. That, so you can have them specify the particular type of veneer on the plans, so that it's out there, and that that way, when they come through with the plans, it's on there. And if they don't use that, then that's an issue with code enforcement. But you can also say that you should be reviewing it as part of your motion, a mock-up or something along those lines.
Okay. So, okay, let's put that in there. Is this whole paragraph about foundations, or only, wait, foundations, yeah. I mean, I don't have any problem with what is said here, so let's continue, just the next point, right?
Okay.
Stone, well, roughly that stone foundations to match, or to be what's the word? Yeah, match is fine too. To match comparable foundations in the development zone. Zone in typology, in stone, what is it? It's stone type, right? It's in stone type and detailing. Proportion, we should put dimension and proportion, we should probably put into type,
Yeah.
comma, dimension. Make proportion and finish, finish and detailing, yeah. Stone, how do you say that? You said by case review, that was how do
Yeah,
you
I'm
say,
just thinking-
applicability to be approved case by case, or
I know how I would just stone to be reviewed on a case by case basis, and I would keep it simple.
yeah. Spaces. And then you said something, can you repeat what you said about the how we can how we can do the review? You wouldn't mention anything, or
I wouldn't put it in here.
Uh-huh.
That would be something that you should do when you're making your motion.
but future boards wouldn't know that, or wouldn't, maybe it would slip more easily.
I mean, it would just be weird to have something about a motion in this, because these are your design guidelines, and reviewing in process is more of something for the motion.
Okay. Should we say something that when should we just keep it stone here, or should we differentiate between veneer versus structural foundations?
Why don't you just say stone/veneers to be reviewed on a case by case basis?
Okay.
But when we mention veneers, I think it would be good to that
Okay,
they should
review
have a
of-
solid look or something.
Okay.
Well, I mean, stone, you can say stone foundation /veneers, stone/veneers foundations, whatever. and you have it there, you have it covered, comparable, to match
Uh-huh.
comparable foundations in the development zones, blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
So you're basically looking for the same thing. The look is
Okay.
ultimately what you're looking for,
yeah,
regardless of whether it's a stone
Yeah.
or it's a veneer.
Uh.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
yes,
Yeah.
I see, I understand. Okay. Can you go up again? Did it just say, do not use concrete masonry? Okay, so it's really, that's prescriptive. Okay, that's good. And then, are we not, I mean, historically, sometimes it's not just the finish that is different, but it's also the alignment. So why are we finishing on the finish? I give you an example, Mary Lou, the house on the northeast corner of Convent and Kennedy. The white new house. That didn't differentiate, but it did differentiate material, but it differentiated in the alignment.
The northeast.
Here, this one on the left, on the image. It was there, yeah.
Oh,
there-
this, okay, that's the, oops.
Isn't
Okay.
it's hard to see, but
The white building,
yeah.
that's an infill, that's the old, that's the Bati house.
Ah, so this is old, but you see how it's
No.
all the same. Ah, no, it's new, right? That's
It's
yeah,
new.
yeah.
Yeah, there was an empty lot there. Mark Bati built that,
Mhm.
but it was built in a real traditional way with the inset windows and doorways and
Yeah. It's probably the most photographed house
I know.
in
I
the
know.
barrio. Yeah. But look at the foundation, how it's differentiated. It's not by materiality, but by alignment.
Yeah,
How it
Would
stands proud.
we? Yeah, exactly. Would we not allow this now because of the new guidelines?
It's kind of weird.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't you allow it?
Because it says that they have to use a sand finish. This is not a sand finish, this is a smooth stucco. All over.
Oh, I get you. I generally have a problem when people use super smooth stucco, because that's historically not what you saw. You may have seen something that was kind of smooth, kind of sandy, kind of had an undulating finish, but to have it like super smooth so that it's like concrete, that's just not something that was there historically.
You're
No.
totally sure, because, are you sure?
yeah.
Uh-huh. Because on the inside it was that way, right? I mean, no? These imperial
Plaster.
plasters and so on, yeah. Okay. So we would not want to allow this if it was coming for the, in front of the board, or
Ultimately, I would say most of your people should have a sand finish. And then if they're proposing something that's not a sand or something along those lines, but if they're proposing something that's smooth, these are design guidelines, and you guys have deviated from that before. So you can,
Mhm.
I would leave it like this. And then if
Mhm.
somebody comes in to propose it, then you can say, yeah, we'll consider that.
But I'm wondering now, beyond this, if we shouldn't differentiate further. Sorry, if we shouldn't encourage further differentiation of the wall to the stem wall. Because I think that detail is not bad. But I think you said it's weird, Grace, right?
No, that was Jody. I
Ah.
like it.
Because I've seen traditional houses that were stuccoed over and you see the difference. You know, it has that jumping off.
Oh. I mean, I'm in the whole scheme of things, am I super offended by it? No. I think it's pretty subtle, but it is, to me, it's weird looking.
But imagine it was a wall that didn't have that. Because it was all, you know, and it was all sand plaster, then it's just a house like in a Mercado. I mean, I've done them there.
Yeah, it's just straight down. It's like just a block. It's a box, basically. So, I mean, this does add some differentiation to it, like some pop out elements and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that the way that these design guidelines are written now, I also don't think that it, says this can't be done in the future.
Yeah. Maybe it's fine because Mary Lou, there is justification for just walls hitting the ground, right? Without differentiation. That seems to be
We've got
justified.
we've got some of that in the neighborhood.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, then it's good. Okay.
Do you want to move this?
I think your foundations already talk about that. It doesn't give a dimension of 18 inches, but it says they should match the other heights in the immediate surrounding area.
Did it say heights? Can you quickly check?
I thought it said stem wall something. I could be making that up. I make up stuff all the time.
Correspond to the raised height of those adjacent. Yeah.
This one has that bullet point has West University. Did you want to get rid of the West University? And
Yeah, I think that what happened was that we were looking at, everybody's guidelines and pulling, and we just wanted to be able to pinpoint where we got stuff.
oh,
So yes, we can remove that.
That seems to be not completed, right? That paragraph. Like what? That's clear, but do we have to bring home the point that Like what's the point of saying this? If are we allowing integral? Well, yeah, we are allowing both.
There was a house that this lady had done the integral colored stucco on it.
Mm.
And they had done a it escapes my mind right now what the heck the finish was called, but it was basically like Santa Barbara, I think, where it had these like little divots in it. So it was like kind of smooth, but then it had these little divots in it. And because of the integral color, instead of just being painted one flat surface where you could see the divots, but it all kind of blended together. It made it look like the house had a disease because the integral color made a slightly different color on the surface so that they stood out significantly from the rest.
Oh. But that paragraph wouldn't address any of that. It just says that is that what it can? I mean, will cause differences in appearance. I mean,
I would say,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to say that causes difference of here, care should be given when determining a texture to ensure that the appearance will not be negatively impacted or something along those lines.
and I think we should then still refer to the development zone or something, right? I mean, if something looks like like you said, like a disease, then there's no reference for it, no? And then we have something.
Yeah. I mean, it really was the texture that she chose. It looked, I should have taken it. I have pictures of it.
Yeah.
At my old job, but not here.
Yeah.
And then she fixed it when I told her, oh, this looks much better. She cried and gave me a hug. It was really weird.
That was in Tucson or in San Diego?
That was San Diego.
Okay.
She was going for the Mills Act, and I had a problem with her stucco.
One difference on that too.
It's interesting that the last bullet point on this page, brick surfaces that are stuccoed should remain stuccoed. These bricks frequently are soft when deteriorate if exposed. So, there's just been, it seems like lately a number of properties that have come forward that want to remove the stucco. And so, because they have historic photos, so they weren't originally stuccoed. Like Carmen Teatro.
Yeah, and I think that's totally okay normally,
But is it okay? Because how much damage are they going to do in tearing off the stucco? So
depends upon who's doing it.
Yeah, I think so.
But you guys can't, and I expect that like the county and Corky and all of them will be getting a really good team together to remove the stucco from that brick, but your average homeowner may not have those resources, but may have the documentation that it was originally, and we can't dictate who removes it. So I just have always concern because frankly, I think it causes just as much damage removing the stucco as blasting it with something like water or sand or whatever. It looks just as torn up.
Yeah. But okay. Yeah, it does look torn out. It can look, you can see still traces sometimes, or it can be done well, right? And then it tells that story of being stuccoed once and then being brought back to original, right? I mean,
It tells the story, but it also,
I don't think it's ugly. I mean,
uh,
that's what I mean, but Mary Lou is right. It depends how it's done. So maybe we
it
just,
depends.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how it was done originally, because sometimes there were just crappy stucco and sometimes it just falls off. But I just would be careful with it because it could just be as damaging. You're just reducing the longevity of that property and the brick.
Why don't we leave it as is, and it doesn't come up that often, but they should just be aware that, we may not, go along with them removing the stucco. Just,
yeah, then they would have to make a strong argument, you're right, that it's fine to remove it. And then we jump in and say, well, what's the quality gonna be, right? How do you? And then we can make a motion to say, we'll review a small portion before you do the whole job or something, right?
yeah,
Oh,
do it
Okay.
someplace where it doesn't show.
yeah,
I don't understand that sentence. Decorative reveals of underlying brick by removal of stuff. What? That doesn't make sense.
decorative reveals of underlaying brick. Oh, yeah, that's people who score the stucco, I think. Oh, is that what that says? To make the brick wall appear or something?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
reading
that's
in
what,
that, is that
that's
there'd
what
be
I
a sort
thought,
of a
that they were
stripe of.
scoring the stucco to make it look like brick.
Yeah,
Oh. Could that be said more clearly?
texture and surface manipulations of stucco. I don't know. It was stupid. But...
I think we're just getting back to the fact that you're removing the stucco to.
Yeah, I think it gets covered under this one. We could probably just delete that.
Should and maybe it should remain stuccoed and consistent in texture in the previous paragraph. And then we have this comment. Oh. I mean, consistent with what now, right? With the original. Hi, Paul. So.
Hi there. Hi,
Okay,
late for the meeting.
Yeah, no worry. It's 4:40 p.m. and Paul Horbart joins the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had car problems, so I didn't get home until just a few minutes ago.
We went through roughly one page, Paul. Was about foundations and textures of walls. Maybe best if you just, I think Grace is gonna send out the link again, and then you can go over that. That's fine for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're at the top of 24 now.
Okay, we've got a section here that says Adobe repair to be written.
Yeah, that is a big question I have. I had that written down here. Okay.
There's a national park there's a preservation brief that handles that. We could reference that.
Does that address, for example, these cementitious stuccos on top of adobe walls and how bad that is?
You know,
I believe so.
My house has that, unfortunately. It was done that way, and it's not great. I opened once behind and it's disaster.
Okay, so I need to dig out that brief and
Cement stucco, go down a little bit.
okay, I'll dig that out and go through it and make sure that it covers mixing.
Okay.
I
The
would-
thing is, what happens is that this is very soft. It's much worse. Water gets in between the stucco and the adobe wall, and the adobe wall starts to deteriorate considerably.
Yeah.
I would recommend that kind of at the start of this section that you have just a brief explanation of the different types of Adobe. Because I think that when you have the average person come in, they don't know the difference between the different, like, you know,
Burned
There's-
adobe, or
Yeah.
fired adobe, and
Or
raw
stabilized
adobe.
Adobe.
yeah. So I would just have like a brief little kind of discussion of that and note maybe what generally the historic Adobes are in the district. And then maybe like what some of the newer Adobe houses, like maybe what they are, if you know, or something along those lines. Because it'll help people understand what's what.
Okay, so we're off to porches.
Okay.
So you have enclosing front porches on contributing structures not allowed. What about enclosing a side porch on a corner lot?
Same thing.
Side porches.
If it's the side porch that is on that corner. Right. Nice, Grace. Nice.
Oh, the third one actually addresses that.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Sorry.
But I think it's good. We can still. Or should we just add that to the first point? All of that? Match to two. Some of this is a bit messy, huh? That's technical.
Mm. We could make a point about enclosing, opening, and then repairing.
Yeah, in some situations, that would be its own point, and the first sentence would be part of the first paragraph or first bullet, no?
So that last sentence match.
No, that I think is its own. No,
Well,
and then the first sentence would be part of the first paragraph. Oh, no, the first bullet. Sorry.
Okay, so are we putting
That
those two
makes
bullets into a paragraph?
I think this makes sense. It's only the last sentence of the third bullet is weird. Match the materials with the
Yeah.
main. No, that's a bit hard one to understand.
well,
Yeah.
it makes it sound like they're trying to, something that we always say don't do, which is create a false sense of history.
Yeah, exactly. The roof must be maintained. I think we want to make sure that you can still read the old porch, no? That's the point we want
Yeah.
to drive home.
I would just take out the last sentence.
But wouldn't we want to ask them to keep the record of the porch? I mean, in the design?
I guess to me that's a given, but
Yeah, but if this is guidelines, I mean, a lot is a given, right? I mean, how to preserve Adobe wall is a given, right? I mean, that's, yeah.
you could say something like the original form and materials of the porch must be maintained. That way they're like their porch supports would have to be maintained, and if they're filling in between that.
Okay,
And you know, just like whatever, if there's like a low wall, like a low pony wall, then you're maintaining that, you're not knocking it down, you're
Exactly.
and then that would address keeping that
But
those
maintain, I mean, I know it's maybe too hair splitting, but maintain means you could also maintain it, but by not exposing it.
do you want to say visible
Yeah,
instead of maintained?
exactly. Then we assume that it's maintained, you know? Must remain visible. Then we have both. Okay. Is that, Jody, do you think? Good?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Look at the next one. Shit. I guess we should have read it fully.
Well, so this is also part, just bear in mind too, that like,
Yeah.
you want to make these, you want to convey as much information, but you also want to make them succinct. You don't want to, people aren't going to read through 43 pages. So
Yeah.
if this is something that you can eliminate, then
I don't think so. This is a little different because it's addressing repair and restoration. The previous paragraph might have some repair and restoration, but often you might not change the porch, but you only have to repair and restore. So this addresses a bit different scenarios, while they obviously this applies to the previous. No?
yeah,
I think subheadings would help us there too.
do you want to like, when you,
Uh-huh.
and
That's a good idea, Grace. Always at the beginning, you mean, of the bullet?
Yeah, so if you're somebody who's looking to enclose their porch, you could go,
Yeah.
you know, enclosing or repairing, depending on what it is you're up to.
Oh, that's a good idea. When you're this paragraph or this bullet that you're on, When repairing or restoring a porch, maintain the size, shape, dimension, and materials of the original. Do you also want to include design?
Yeah,
God forbid somebody should take some of the ornamentation and use it in a different manner on there, then it's like, that's not how it was meant to be.
Can be tough as being used on your own. I'm a bit this replacement. Is replacement the technical term in interior standards, or what is a replacement scenario?
I'll give you an example. My back porch at my office, there on Stone,
Mm-hmm.
literally it was coming off of the building. You could see
Okay.
daylight between the porch and the main structure. So what they did was to rebuild the porch because it was just gone between the termite damage and water damage through time. And they took what materials were left and duplicated the porch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You could also have an instance where there's a fire and takes out the porch and they're rebuilding or something like that.
Mhm. Who prescribes, or who, that's still in their discretion after a fire, if they, or even in your case, Mary Lou, if you want to replace?
I'm sorry, do that again.
Is it, do the interior standards prescribe to replace in these situations?
Yeah, in this case, it was it was replace what was necessary and shore it up.
Okay. Why is there, I don't understand that porches should be provided. I mean, a lot of houses don't need a porch, right? Or why does, what does that? It's only if it's part, you know, if it makes sense as part of the development zone.
In West University, they have a lot more porches than I think that you guys do.
Yeah,
Most
yeah,
of your
yeah.
stuff is
That's
right up
what-
at the street.
Exactly, that's must be coming from them, yeah. So we say for new porches, refer to porch design within your, you know.
That's already a given, though. They should be
Yeah.
looking at their development. I would just take out that whole,
Yeah, that, I
that
agree.
whole bullet point.
Okay,
Because if predominantly you have them in your development zone, that's something you're gonna ask for.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense in the in West University. Are we allowing steel at all?
no, not unless it. I think I've got a neighbor who decided to use wrought iron in the back. Painted wrought iron
Mhm.
for the back porch.
I think we leave it, we don't even address it, right? If it's a new design, it just has to follow the development zone, no?
Yeah,
I think the roofs part of the last thing goes with the next section, Grace. But that bullet point, right, where it's all caps, roofs at the end.
White roofing.
Gotcha. So we're gonna cut this.
So I've noticed that a lot of times people get a pass if they want to do a metal roof when they didn't necessarily have a metal roof to begin with. And I'm not saying they should go with the wood shingle roof that they originally had on there, but I was surprised at how often people get a pass to just put up a metal roof when they never had a metal roof. And just for the record, this is a pet peeve of mine. And I've had this discussion with each of the boards.
Just our neighborhood has very little wood shingles.
Well, I'm just using that as an
Yeah,
example.
I know.
But there's somewhere it never had, maybe it wasn't wood shingles, but it was something else and they just didn't have a metal roof, but they have been allowed
That's
to
a
put.
cost thing, right? Mostly.
Metal roofs aren't cheap either.
No, much
Yeah.
cheaper than a shingle roof.
Well, yeah,
And
that
especially over time.
over time, yeah. But instead of like, I don't know, doing a dimensional asphalt shingle that's brown that has the appearance of like the separate little tile pieces similar to a shingle roof that was there versus a corrugated metal roof. And then we've also, as another side, we've also had, I forget what it's called, but it came up in West University, I think. They wanted to put on, it wasn't corrugated metal, but it kind of had the wavy appearance. I want to call it PBR, maybe, type of roof. It was like a not metal, like a fiberglassy kind of, but heavy duty fiberglass.
oh God, okay.
But
That one I hadn't seen.
it looked like a corrugated metal roof the way it was designed with the waves.
Mhm. Yeah, that's actually a fiber cement product, probably. How asphalt shingles, just out of interest and maybe relevant, but how historic are they for our neighborhood?
Asphalt shingles have been around for quite some time. They weren't always as bendy, but they've been around
Mhm.
for a while. So probably not on your way old buildings, but potentially on some of the other ones.
Mhm.
I'm just throwing it out as a discussion item. And that may not have been PR.
It may not have been what?
Oh, when I said PBR panels, I think maybe
Ah.
I was referencing something different.
No.
I just recall like this fiberglass material that Bill Mackey was proposing at one point on a house.
Was that in Armory Park?
I think it was in West University, actually. And
I think he was proposing, he and
It might have
Fernando
been
were
Armory
proposing
Park.
a plastic roofing material. That was translucent.
Obviously, I go to too many BCC meetings that they're starting to blend together. I'll see if I can dig that up. And I'll let you guys know.
Okay,
But my point being is that there's other materials. So even though we're talking about metal roofs, I mean, you might want to consider other materials.
But isn't metal super historic here in our neighborhood?
It is.
Mhm.
It is a material that's historically there, but you know, if you have other materials that have the same appearance, is it something that you will poo-poo or?
Oh, mission profile.
Oh, I think that's a West University thing.
Yeah, it's not true for us.
It's, yeah, that's true for them, but not for you guys. So you probably want to dump that sentence.
And the white metal, is that true? I mean, it's hard to tell. Mary Lou, you know more here, but is it,
Okay.
wouldn't they have painted metal white in the past?
would they have painted what now?
Metal roofs white?
Not that I can remember ever seeing.
I mean, I know on Convent we have one, but I don't know when that was done. And it was actually redone a few years ago, the paint.
We end up with a lot of flat roofs that end up using a treatment on the flat roofs. But metal roofs, I have one next door to where I'm living,
Mhm.
and that was done 4 or 5 years ago. And it's not in keeping with the house,
Mhm.
but it was done.
I'm talking about one that is just south. It's on Convent, on the west side. South of, yeah, it's really close here. South of Kennedy. Yeah, it's the one that says CLL. That has a really nice, yeah, white metal. No,
Oh, yeah, I know that place.
yeah,
That's a Kelly Rawlings roof.
makes sense.
It's not something that you ordinarily would see, but you know, when Kelly owned that building, they put that roof up and then painted it.
Mhm. Yeah. Or maybe he painted the roof that was there, no? And
That
then
could
the
be.
neighbors actually, look, they are just painted asphalt roof or something. No, that's also white painted corrugated, nice.
Yeah, it's painted corrugated.
Yeah. And then the next one is actually, that's a powder coated. That's by far not as charming, but
I know it's not, but it's okay.
yeah.
It's
So look, this is for me, I mean, but as a new, what would we say? We can't say much about the color anyway, right? But the corrugated roofs, I think, are not unoriginal here. Or, I mean, sometimes they were put on top of adobe houses. I was living in one of those. In
yeah,
order to protect the old roofs, or
and
protect in parentheses.
that the one that Kelly put that corrugated roof on, it originally was a flat roof.
Yeah, which had this discomfort element, right, of the
Yeah.
dust coming down and all that. Yeah, but it gets much worse, by the way, once you put the roof up, because it loses the
Yeah.
humidity, you know, like that. It's
Yeah.
much more dry,
Yeah.
and I was in a house like that once, lived in one. So, I don't know. I think, honestly, I think the metal roofs seem, but yeah, I don't know how long they have been around. You know,
I don't have an answer for you without.
yeah, it's
spending
very
some time
industrial,
consulting.
right? Corrugated, it needs big machines. They probably were tin or so, folded seams, or you know, standing seams, something like that in the old before. Can we go up? I think there's a big question about this white roofing treatments are not historic. I don't know. Not be white. Right?
So I mean, could you, in theory, have somebody who has a corrugated metal roof and maybe it's, I don't know, a little deteriorated and they have some issues so that they don't have the money to replace the corrugated metal, but they can get up there and paint it with the elastomer paint that would make it white?
Yeah, it's the elastomeric, which is the problem, not the color. Yeah, but yeah. If you, yeah, that's kind of the spirit, no?
Yeah, I would just be hesitant to say you couldn't do that if they were low income. I mean, you're,
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the spirit of the barrio, right? It wasn't a fancy neighborhood. I mean, that's what I like about that Rolling's roof. You know, the rust comes through again, and then suddenly it becomes, you know, this feels more original than the stuff that looks new for the next 30 years.
Yes. Like 2 doors down.
Exactly, exactly.
and
Well,
then,
I just looked up the history of corrugated roofing, and it was patented in 1829 in England.
Uh-huh. So it's
So-
definitely post railroad.
Okay, so maybe we've got an out here. Each house is unique and the discussion with the board will help identify appropriate styles of roofs for a particular style of house. Each request is handled on a case-by-case basis rather than a blanket approach.
then maybe you get rid of that first bullet point and just, because you're just reviewing the roofing material anyways.
Yeah. This is correct, the one where you have the cursor. Yeah.
So select a material and a pattern that is historically appropriate to your style of house. If it's unclear what type of roofing material to use, look at the roofing or similar building types in the development zone. And then just skip the rest of this stuff and go to each house is unique and the discussion with the board. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? I missed that.
Okay, the first part says select materials and pattern that is historically appropriate to your style of house. If it is unclear what type of roofing material to use, look at the roofing on similar building types in the development zone, and then skip that part and then go down to each house is unique. And the discussion with the board will identify
Yeah.
appropriate styles of roofs for a particular style of house. Each
Yeah.
request is on a case-by-case basis rather than a blanket approval.
Yeah,
That gets rid of the seam metal roof debate.
Cool. Little fun fact, the first tin roof in Arizona was installed in Yuma in 1861, apparently.
Great.
Okay. There's a double sentence than the previous one at the end. Does not alter the visual. Like, why do we say do not alter the profile of the roof line when it says right before? Awesome. Why do we have this paragraph?
Which one?
The security consideration. Does that have to do with the historic? I mean, maybe the speech to the first stuff, like, what would we say about the security alarm systems or strong locks or something? What, like, we should rather say if you do that, then still, make it in a way that is compatible and sensitive and
You had in West University, there's people along Speedway and people along 6th who get a lot of traffic, and they were concerned, so they were requesting enclosure of their front porch, not a fence around their yard, but the front porch specifically with wrought iron or metal pickets to basically kind of make it a little, for lack of a better description, cage of their front porch. So West University had this section kind of for people to think about alternatives maybe to caging their front porch. Because then people want to put like bars on their windows and stuff like that. So I think it's an effort to kind of say, hey, look at these other options. I think that's why it's here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also want to so historically, and I don't think this is the case much anymore, but like that is security alarm systems. My house, before we moved here, had a security alarm, but I think it was 20 years. It has a big ass bell on the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, get it removed. But I mean, so you could have, in theory, something similar to that. Or people want to put cameras up, so where are they going to place the cameras? How is that going to impact the place, decorative features if they're putting the cameras or something like that. So, I mean, it is all, and then security doors, do you want what's it called? The Coco Pelli on your security door on the front facade? Is that appropriate?
Well, yeah, okay. We've had the question about the bars a few times, right?
Yes, we have.
And then I've also seen it where people have wanted to remove glass and put glass block in its place because they consider that a more secure element. I know we will poo-poo it, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. When we first moved into the office there at 15th and Stone, I had a business partner who was absolutely concerned about security. And she wanted to put bars on every window, except that the brick and the mortar wouldn't handle that. So we went to an interior security system. And that has served its purpose for a long time. But people need to think about, alternatives to bars.
Yeah. I mean, in that sense, it makes sense, right? The way it's written. Oh.
Yeah, should we just leave it, move to the next one?
Mhm.
To your first bullet point, you note right away, maintain the original size and shape of your windows, but I would probably also add design and operation to that.
Yes.
Do you have houses that have art or stained glass historically?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Maybe you want to take that out. Are, and I'm gonna butcher this, are toldos always metal? Can they also be canvas? Can they be wood?
There
Usually
were
they've
wood
got-
in the.
They are wood.
Yeah, they can be wood. In fact, I think most often are wood. I mean, I have one over my front door that's a wood structure that when I bought the house, it had roofing tiles on it, but some of them were broken, and I just replaced it with the same shingles that I have on the rest of my roof.
But can they also just be all wood without any like shingles or tile or metal on them?
Well, they certainly could be. There's usually some kind of waterproof material on them, but
Thanks, Paul. In your first indented bullet point, there is a smaller bullet point that got pushed with that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
On your next bullet point about the screens, aluminum screen frames are not desirable on front facing windows. Do you mean, but would wood frame screens that potentially have like an small aluminum frame screen inset?
Are we talking about mosquito screens or?
Yeah, mosquito screens as much as they are. Would that be allowable? Where it's, you got a wood frame around it, but to keep it tight, it's got.
Yeah, that's fine, from my end.
Yeah,
It's the-
I've got window screens that they're wooden, but I've got a fine mesh along with 1/4-inch mesh to keep out the two-legged variety as well as the flying variety. But they're all wood. There's no aluminum.
The product that Jody is describing is normally, that's a quality product.
But it's essentially an aluminum framed screen within a wood frame screen.
Correct.
I
Okay.
mean, really, that's what it comes down to.
But the wood covers the aluminum.
Sometimes, I mean, that may be splitting hairs.
Mhm. Yeah, the affordable ones come that way. With the aluminum visible. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I guess you can, leave that open like it is. And then the one that's highlighted just above it, you probably want to clean that up.
The thing for new windows?
No, where it's highlighted, it says current clad windows closely resemble historic wood windows may be considered. Be prepared to
Okay, I
present.
see. Okay.
I don't think they should be allowed, but
No.
I think you,
yeah, you once asked us, Mary Lou, right, for the research,
Yeah.
and we did. There is some products that obviously are extremely well done. But I don't, you always know it's not real wood, by the sheen and by the detailing.
the
Obviously, the
other,
question is that wood is more maintenance. I mean, we all know it, right? We have those houses.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah,
the
you're
other
right. I think we
advisory
should
boards
just.
have allowed it.
Yeah, well,
Aluminum
No,
clad.
but I think they are not aluminum. What I think, I mean, Mary Lou, what do you think of that? There's wood profiles.
I'd have to see it
Yeah.
and see it installed
Yeah,
before I would be willing to.
I think outside needs to be wood. I mean, we could, whatever they want, if they want the inside different. Would we allow that, or would, But you can look through glass, huh?
Secretary of the Interior is also allowed aluminum clad windows, so it's aluminum on the exterior and wood on the interior.
Yeah, but that doesn't help us in the barrio, no?
It doesn't help you, but
No.
they've also taken it to, before my time,
Uh-huh.
Jonathan Maybury took it to mayor and council, got it approved. So the other HPZs are also allowing it. They do on a case-by-case basis. So they've looked at the material and who they're proposing. You might want to consider that. You might want to, and I mean, really, when it comes down to it, maybe it's something where it's a mixture of windows so that your street facing windows are wood, but then other windows that have little to no visibility are allowed to be aluminum clad. So that, you know, because it is, windows are always expensive, but I, you know, caution you, if you have somebody who's not rolling in dough, that you consider alternative materials. And just for the record, I'm not saying vinyl is okay, because vinyl's crap anyways.
I don't know. You know, yeah, it's a tough one, sure. I would still would like to have I think it would be good to have the sentence in there that it should be wood windows in the barrio.
Yep.
And whatever we want to add as a second sentence, you know, we can discuss.
Well, we could entertain alternate materials
Yeah. Upon in case by case approval.
on a case by case.
Yeah.
And then maybe on your upper paragraph where you talk about windows should be repaired rather than placed, you know, if replacement is considered somewhere along here, then note the barrio encourages replacement with wood windows. So you're putting it out front that you encourage it, but then a little bit down, you're saying alternate materials will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Sure.
There's a note down here, all permanent glazing material to be glass. What other material is going to be?
Well, some people have put in heavy duty plastic.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's legit. Maybe maybe clarify and say all permanent glazing material to be clear glass. So you don't
Yes.
end up with like purple or red or pink.
Exactly. Okay.
Really? Heavy duty plastic?
Yeah, that was a recommendation from someone.
That's ugh. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we actually already say this then. Somewhat. Reflective film or glass. Or large panels of colored glass are not appropriate. That kind of is a little bit redundant with the all permanent glazing material to be clear glass.
Yeah, sure, just skip it.
Why is institutional, commercial, and buildings capitalized?
Good question.
Is this from the old guidelines, copy pasted?
I think what this was like to give some background to, because we've got institutional and commercial buildings.
Under alterations, additions, and construction, historic use is encouraged and recommended in most cases. Do you want to like say that? I mean, really, it's about having a viable building. So, I mean, zoning's going to restrict them a lot
Yeah,
to what could be there, but ultimately you also want the building not to be abandoned, and you don't want to discourage somebody to say, oh, it was a house, so I can only use it as a house. I can't do anything with it, even if zoning allows them to have a commercial entity in there.
I know why that, I mean, this makes sense to. But encourage is not very strong, right?
I don't know. We just used encourage for the wood windows above. So I think it is kind of strong.
No, we should have that stronger. Okay, did we? I didn't get that. No, I think we need to say that stronger. Above.
What's stronger than
At the
encourages?
Expect, no, prescribes, yeah,
We could just change it to say that replacement windows must be wood.
yeah. That, no, and this is different because was when something else was there. Right?
It just gives me pause with the language down below too.
Yeah.
If you don't have any problem with it, then that's fine too.
I think is that the only time we say that we have wood? I thought we had discussed that we have, like, this is only for replacement of windows. Let's say when there were another material. Okay. Should follow the Windows styles found in the projects developed. Should be in wood and follow. Should do well, that's anyway a weird follow. New windows should be wood and follow the styles.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was sleeping before and then we're going back. But, and follow the styles. Take the window out. Yeah. Yeah. So then I can live with that encourages, because, you know, if somebody had a steel window for 40 years on there, or even longer, right? It's hard to say you have to replace with wood. But if somebody makes a new window,
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
into that predicament with the little house on 18th. Because it
Yes.
has a mix of windows.
yeah. And also La Suprema, remember?
Yes,
Yeah. And those steel windows look quite historic. I mean, okay, let's go back to the other thing. So I think now this is softened. I mean, I think this is fine. This is more of a political intent, right? Historic use is encouraged. This is because we want to say, look, let's not change fully the character by only having offices. But you're right, Jody, the economy and you know, there are certain dynamics that but this is about only the institutional commercial building or about everything?
it probably should include everything, you know. We've had various houses in the barrio go from residential to small business and back to residential.
Yeah. And like in every, you know, you go to Italian town, right? I mean, that's yeah. Maybe take it out. What do you think, Mary Lou? That's a good paragraph. Yeah, whatever you highlighted there. I would leave it in, just as it is, to be honest, on Jody. I think this doesn't prevent anybody to change the use if zoning allows, right? But they should think about it. I don't know if you know, but somebody tried to do a wedding facility and this was totally shut down.
Where was that?
That was, you know, that really nice courthouse on Simpson and Convent, southeast corner. That one. Yeah, that one. Left. That one. No, the one on the other, southeast.
Oh.
Left.
This one.
This one, yeah. But the neighbors shut that down. Okay, special.
Mary Lou, have you ever actually reviewed anything for the resident artisan?
Do that. What was that again?
In your time on the board, have you actually ever reviewed anything for the resident artisan?
Not that I can remember.
No, just curious.
Which neighborhood is that relevant?
Any of them.
Uh-huh.
It's in the
You know,
code.
there's been lots of artisans in the neighborhood, but they've just, you know, they've adaptively reused an existing residential building. And there wasn't any reason to review.
Yeah. So on the first page, your bullet point, and I get it, vegetation is not generally considered an appropriate solution to code required screening. But what other stuff could they use? I mean, corrugated metal, fencing, or
Yeah, for example. Stucco block walls.
I guess I'd rather have vegetation.
How? There's vegetation here doesn't work. No?
As a person-
If we were in the tropics, yeah.
I walk, so I'm always going from shady spot to shady spot when I'm
Uh-huh.
at my lunch break.
Yeah. But that's a shade, it's different than screening. I'm not sure. Show me one successful screen other than if it's a Ocotillo fence or something.
Mm.
Can't make it with cactus.
The third bullet down, newly constructed commercial structures must also comply with code requirements not reviewed by Barrio. That's a given. I would take that out.
This is not a good sentence. Streetscape standards of the developments on determined setbacks and other guidelines. I don't understand it. Streetscape standards, no, of the development, so there's no standard. I mean, standard would be written down, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't. The streetscape of the determines the setback. Another point. And then and other guidelines done. It's messy. What other guideline standards? Codes and so on. I would say other guidelines, standards, and the streetscape of the development, the determined setbacks.
that's a good way to reword that.
A number of properties on larger lots that develop driveways with rear unattached garages. What does that mean to say that? Are we allowing that or not? Like, or is that's just. Why would that be stated? Or encouraged?
Okay, what?
Yeah.
A number of these have development zone standards apply. Isn't it always a given that the development zone standards apply?
Yeah.
The next one, there it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you guys remember why we highlighted this one? I think it had to
Yeah.
do with a previous conversation.
Because a parking structure is kind of being proposed for Armory Park. And so they had no language in their design guidelines about structured parking.
Yeah, we don't have many.
And that doesn't mean it won't come to the barrio.
Well, yeah. Do we have the lots left?
You potentially have one that's within your district.
Mhm.
That's across from the Korea school. I mean, that in theory could be a parking structure.
Oh, great.
I'm not saying it's going to be, I'm
Yeah,
just
I
saying, I'm
know.
thinking the lot is, allows for it.
So we need to deal with it.
And for the record, I haven't had any proposals for anything in Barrio. I'm just saying, it's better to be preemptive with this.
Absolutely.
I think what rather would happen is like a mixed use that might have a subterranean thing or something. But they're not gonna do. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Well, we can leave it in, but.
So what does this mean about residential streets? At the Bafford and Armory Park, they access off of that named alley, right? Small avenue.
Yeah.
That's a residential street. But Stone and Sixth are not.
So I know when it was the 375 South Stone presented to Armory Park, originally they had an entrance exit that basically when people would come out, they would flash right into residential properties across the street. So they didn't want them to do that. They wanted them to go either out into like a alleyway or to 6th Avenue, which was more of a non-residential street.
They would not want that.
They do want that. They want them to go, they don't want them to come out and just where there's just all houses across the street. It's a totally small little scale street. They want them to come out onto like maybe 6th Avenue or something where it's a busier street.
But the
'Cause
alley
like-
is good.
Or the alley, yeah, so that they exit on the alley.
Not sure. And the 365, you said, that's the 4-story?
The 375 South
370.
Stone.
That's the
So-
4-story? Yeah.
That's the 4 or 5 story. I forget what it is now. But then they've kind of been grouping it all together. So if you go further to the east, there's the All Saints property. And on the All Saints property, they wanted to right along 14th right there. That's where they're proposing it's like half underground garage, and then it'll have an upper floor. So it's really like 1.5 stories, I guess, above ground. But they were putting it all together. Like there was the 375 South Stone, Brady Court. They were trying to do an RFP, but I don't think that ever closed for the Curacao. And then the All Saints properties that are on 4th and 6th. So they don't want people to come out onto 14th from the parking garage and to flash into those houses that are right to the north. That's what the residential street is. They would rather you come out onto 6th, which is more, I can't think of the word right now, but more, it's a busier street. Thanks for showing the map.
So is that something that we would end up defining? Or do we want to make sure that we're using the same language that you would find elsewhere in the code? Or are we already, I guess?
That's just not necessarily in the code. I think that was something that Armory Park had added.
Oh, I just meant in terms of the defining the size of the street, distinguishing between residential and, arterial or whatever.
I mean, you would, in theory, I guess, if you wanted to, you could have that as something in the definitions. Or you just want to make sure that it's consistent with the language that the code has already.
Yeah, I think either way.
Just so
I'm not
you know, it's 5:56.
Yeah, we need to, I saw that too. But it would have been, I thought it would be nice to finish off with that paragraph, but that's a tricky one, the parking. I mean, I don't know.
We can start here next time.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff that's in yellow, I agree fully, right? Well, until streetscape. Because all of them should. I mean, it's not nice, the 375 garage view there when you walk by. It's really not great. It would have been better on the alley.
They did,
They have
So-
in and out they have. No.
Oh, you're thinking about, I don't think you're thinking about 375. I think you're thinking about the hotel. That's
No, the motel. This one.
The 375 is a proposal from Bill.
yeah, 375 hasn't been built yet.
Okay, that's that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was a disaster too.
Yeah,
From
that
beginning
is
to
a
end.
disaster. But like, Mary Lou, don't you think it would be better if we didn't have any presence of the garage here and this driveway? And this was on the alley only? Or, I mean, you live there. What would you?
I prefer the whole building wasn't there, but
Yeah,
you know, that's, you know, that's my druthers. Actually coming out on the alley, depending on who's driving and if you're walking, you have problems either way. They should only come out onto Stone because the alley ends up being a raceway for some of those guys.
yeah. Mm.
And when
But that's what an alley is for. Like not
Yeah,
not
a
for
raceway?
racing, not
I-
for racing, and there's rules about that, right? I mean, we have to take care of the streetscapes.
Yeah.
And I think
no.
the stone streetscape is, I mean. Yeah.
So to me,
Present.
not this side, the fact that the garage entrance is recessed quite a bit onto the property is better. Then there's a new hotel that's across the street from the cathedral.
Church, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where the garage is right on the street, and that is just,
ugly.
yeah. And when you have to walk by it, it's like,
No, but that's why I think it would be better to have that from McCormick. Oh, no, is it, are we on the right? No, we have to go north, from, Ochoa. That's where they have now the main entry. It's so weird.
Yeah, that is an ugly piece right there.
It's definitely not a curb
And it
cut.
should have been
It's the inverse.
recessed.
It should be a curb cut. This is like a separation. Yeah, it's horrible. Mm,
I just like this whole, yeah.
Yeah.
it should be in there in that gap back there.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it should, that's why I totally agree with that paragraph.
It's up
Well-
against a great building.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, it is 6.
Yeah,
I did have one staff update if you want to move on to that.
Okay.
Well, let's do it formal. We're gonna finish paragraph 5 and continue at a next meeting. We have to determine that next meeting. Do we do it again on the first Friday of that month, first Monday of that month, which would be in my head, I think it's 11/1 or so. Let me look.
That's a Tuesday.
The
Ah,
7th.
So it would be the 7th.
Hmm.
We have
Yeah,
the
so the
meeting on
7th,
the 14th,
and then you have a meeting on the 14th, yes.
correct,
Okay, we talking November?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Do we have to vote on that or make a motion or something, or,
No, but you just want to make sure people are available.
okay,
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, I can do
so we're talking about the 7th of,
you were gonna send out the invite very soon, Jody, right?
Yeah, I'll send it out. I can
Yeah.
do the invite like real quick after the meeting.
Okay, and then,
okay,
Yes.
November 7th.
yes,
Same time, 4 to 6.
yeah,
Okay. And this is guidelines?
Yep.
guidelines, yeah.
Okay,
Is everybody available?
I
am.
am.
I should be available.
Okay, yeah, I'll send out that appointment.
Thanks. So then we complete bullet point 5 and transition to 6 staff updates.
So I want to let you know, and I'm not sure if I did it before, but Energov, which is the city's new permitting system, is going live on October 31st, Halloween. The week prior, we will not be taking any permits, just so y'all know. So from October 21st to October 30th, you will not be able to submit for permits, with the exception of emergency permits, like a gas reconnect or something like that. We won't be doing permits. So if you want to let other people know, but starting on the 31st, we will be doing permits through Energov. It's a new interface for everybody. Should be lots of fun. But I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Okay.
Okay. Noted. Anything else?
That was it.
Good. Completion of bullet point 6 on the agenda. Bullet point 7, adjournment. Do we have to do anything for that?
No, but you guys always like to vote to adjourn, but
Exactly. I like why, right? Let's do it.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I motion and then adjournment and then yeah, you second. Paul,
Sure. I'm ready to go.
Grace,
Yes.
Mary Lou,
Yes.
me too, Philip. And the meeting is adjourned at this point.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.